1954. A song called Work With Me Annie hits black radio stations across America. Within weeks, it's banned. Churches call it pornography. The FCC launches investigations. Politicians demand the record be destroyed. But here's the real crime. While Hank Ballard gets blacklisted, a white singer named Georgia Gibbs records a sanitized cover. Her version goes to #1. She gets rich. Hank Ballard gets nothing. This wasn't an accident. This was the system. The 1950s. Black artists created rock and roll. White America tried to erase them. Radio bans, church boycotts, and the ultimate theft, white cover versions stealing their songs and their glory. These are 12 R&B acts that racist America tried to destroy.
Whatever you want, baby.
12. The Ravens, Rock Me All Night Long. 1952. New York City. The Ravens were doo-wop pioneers. Jimmy Ricks had a bass voice so deep it shook speakers and rattled windows. Rock Me All Night Long was exactly what it sounded like.
Rock me all night long. Just roll me, mama.
Sexual, provocative, zero subtlety. The ban was instant. White covers followed immediately, the sexuality removed, the bass toned down, made safe for teenage consumption. The covers got airplay, the Ravens didn't. The Ravens influenced every vocal group after them. The Orioles, the Flamingos, the Platters. Every doo-wop group owes them everything. But they were too early, too raw, too black for the mainstream breakthrough. Jimmy Ricks died in 1974. The Ravens were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2012.
All my money, all night long. Here I need somebody.
60 years after creating the template for doo-wop, most of them were already dead. Nobody was left to accept the honor. They invented a genre. White America waited until they were gone to say thank you.
Rock me all night long.
11. The Moon Glows. Sincerely, 1954. Cleveland, Ohio, 1954. The Moon Glows recorded Sincerely.
For you, please.
A doo-wop masterpiece featuring Harvey Fuqua's innovative vocal arrangements. The song hit #1 R&B, 20 weeks on the charts. A genuine crossover moment building. Then the Maguire sisters covered it. 3 white women. Same arrangement, same vocal style, different skin color. Their version went to #1 pop.
Sincerely.
Sold millions. National television. Major success. The Moonglows version was pushed to race records, black radio only. White audiences preferred the copy. This pattern defined the 1950s. Black artists innovated. White artists imitated.
I love you. I'll do it.
The imitators got rich. The Moonglows kept recording. Most of all, Seesaw. Beautiful songs that influenced everyone from Smokey Robinson to the Temptations. But mainstream success stayed out of reach. Too black for white radio.
Oh, yes, yes.
Not commercial enough for the new soul era. Harvey Fuqua later became a Motown executive, discovered Marvin Gaye, built careers for others, his own group forgotten. The Moonglows were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2000.
I'll do anything for you.
Most people had never heard of them. They created the sound. Others got the glory. The story of 1950s R&B in one sentence. 10. The Dominoes. 60-Minute Man. 1951. New York City. 1951. Billy Ward and the Dominoes released what many consider the first rock and roll record ever. 60-Minute Man.
60-Minute Man.
A song about sexual stamina. 15 minutes of this, 15 minutes of that. Explicit for its time. The ban was immediate and total. Radio refused to play it. Churches called it pornographic. Parents burned the records in public bonfires.
There'll be 15 minutes of kissing.
One Georgia town made it illegal to own a copy. Police could arrest you for possession, but Black America didn't care. 60 Minute Man went to #1 R&B. Stayed there for 14 weeks. One of the biggest hits of 1951. The song White America Tried to Destroy became unstoppable. White cover versions followed, the sexuality removed, the soul gutted, made safe for teenage consumption. The covers got radio play. The Dominoes didn't.
60-minute man.
The group had launched Clyde McPhatter's career. He'd later formed the Drifters, but in 1951 they were too dangerous. The Dominoes kept recording. McPhatter left in 1953. The hits stopped coming. By the 60s, they were forgotten.
60-minute man. If you don't believe I'm
Playing oldies shows. Watching the rock and roll they helped create become a white man's game.
a 60-minute man, oh yeah.
9. The 5. Royales. Baby Don't Do It. 1953. North Carolina, early 1950s. The 5. Royales. Were gospel singers who crossed to R&B. Their guitarist Loman Pauling created a style that influenced Eric Clapton, Steve Cropper, and every rock guitarist after. Raw, aggressive, revolutionary. 1953, they released Baby Don't Do It.
Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't.
A pleading ballad dripping with emotion. Southern radio stations banned it. The guitar work was called savage and primitive by white critics. Code words for black. Too black for white audiences. The song became an R&B standard anyway. The Beach Boys covered it. So did the band. Both white groups got critical acclaim for their interpretations. Nobody mentioned the black group who created it.
In your mind and stop my poor.
The 5 Royales kept recording through the 50s. Every song became more famous when white artists covered it. Think by James Brown. Dedicated to the One I Love by the Shirelles. Both 5 Royales songs first. They never cracked the top 40, never got mainstream recognition, never got their due.
If you leave me pretty baby, I'll have.
Loman Pauling died in 1973. The 5 Royales were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2015. 50 years too late. Most members already dead. They created the guitar sound of rock and roll. White America took it, whitewashed it, pretended the originators never existed. Every rock guitarist owes them everything. Almost nobody knows their name.
Know me.
8. Screamin' Jay Hawkins. I Put a Spell on You, 1956. Cleveland, Ohio, 1956. Jealousy. Screamin' Jay.
No running around.
Hawkins walked into a studio planning to record a ballad. Producer Arnold Maxon had other ideas. He got the entire band drunk. Blackout drunk. Hawkins has no memory of the session. What came out was, I Put a Spell on You, screaming, grunting, moaning. Sounds no one had ever put on a record before. The producer loved it. Hawkins was horrified. This wasn't what he wanted. He was a trained opera singer. This was insanity. Radio stations banned it immediately. They called it cannibalistic. Said it sounded like a man eating somebody. Too wild, too primitive, too threatening. Even after editing, most stations refused to play it. But DJ Alan Freed saw opportunity. He paid Hawkins $300 to emerge from a coffin on stage. Hawkins refused at first, said no black dude gets in a coffin alive and expects to get out, but he needed the money. He did it. The coffin became his thing. Bones through his nose, rubber snakes, voodoo imagery. White audiences loved it. The NAACP hated it, accused him of perpetuating racist stereotypes. Hawkins didn't care. He was making a living. The song never charted for him, but everyone else made money off it. Nina Simone, Creedence Clearwater Revival, dozens of covers, all more successful than his original.
I love you anyhow!
White artists made it famous. Hawkins made it, but got nothing. He spent his career bitter, resented being called Screamin' Jay, felt it undermined his credibility as a vocalist. James Brown screamed, but was never called Screamin' James Brown. The racism was obvious. Screamin' Jay Hawkins died in France in 2000. His cult legend status, but never the mainstream success. Another black innovator, used by white America, then discarded. 7. Wynonie Harris. Good Rockin' Tonight, 1948. Los Angeles, 1948. Wynonie Harris recorded Good Rockin' Tonight for King Records. The song had everything white America feared: sexual energy, a driving beat. Harris's raw, uninhibited vocal delivery that practically screamed freedom. Radio programmers labeled it race music. Too dangerous for white audiences, banned from most stations, relegated to black radio only. But in black communities, it was a revolution. The jump blues sound that would become rock and roll. Then Elvis Presley covered it in 1954. Same song, same arrangement, same sexual energy, different skin color. Suddenly it wasn't dangerous anymore. It was the birth of rock and roll. Elvis became the king. Wynonie Harris was erased from the story. Harris kept recording through the 50s. All she wants to do is rock. Lovin' Machine? Songs dripping with the sexuality that had made Good Rockin' Tonight so controversial. He was blacklisted, labelled obscene. Radio wouldn't touch him. By the 60s, Harris was forgotten, playing small clubs, drinking heavily. Watching white rock and rollers become millionaires playing the style he invented. Nobody remembers the first time they heard Wynonie Harris, but everyone remembers Elvis. Wynonie Harris died broke in 1969. Heart attack at 54. He never saw the recognition he deserved, never got paid for inventing rock and roll. Elvis got Graceland. Harris got a pauper's grave. The man who truly started it all, erased because white America couldn't handle a black man singing about sex and freedom. The real king, forgotten by history.
Sweet Georgia Brown, Caledonia too.
6. The Clovers. One Mint Julep, 1952. Washington, D.C., 1951. The Clovers were Atlantic Records' aristocracy. Smooth doo-wop harmonies, sophisticated arrangements. Multiple R&B hits. Then they recorded One Mint Julep, a song about alcohol leading to an unplanned pregnancy and shotgun marriage. Radio stations across the South banned it instantly. References to drinking, implications of premarital sex, a black vocal group singing about the consequences of one night of passion.
I got 6 extra children from a getting free.
White America couldn't handle it, but black communities embraced the honesty. The song climbed to number 2 R&B in 1952. The Clovers became heroes for telling real stories instead of sanitized fairy tales. White radio wouldn't touch it. but white artists would. Ray Charles covered it in 1961.
Was the cause of it all.
His version reached number 8 pop. Critics praised him for his sophisticated interpretation. Nobody mentioned the Clovers created it. The Clovers had hit after hit in the 50s. Fool, fool, fool! Ting-a-ling, devil or angel. Every song became more famous when white artists covered it. The Clovers themselves stayed locked out of mainstream success. Atlantic Records made millions off their sound. The Clovers struggled financially. By 1960, the original lineup had scattered.
I don't want to.
6 stories down, 6 more to go. But let me ask you something. Are you angry yet? Because you should be. We just covered artists who got $500 while white singers made millions off their songs. Teenagers who got blacklisted. Legends who died broke. And this is only half the story. If this is making you feel something, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me which theft made you angriest so far. And subscribe, because these stories need to be told. The music industry doesn't want you to know this history, but we're not stopping. Let's keep going. 5. Etta James. The Wallflower, Roll With Me Henry, 1955. Los Angeles, 1955. 14-year-old Etta James recorded an answer song to Hank Ballard's Work With Me Annie. She called it Roll With Me Henry, a playful, flirtatious song about dancing, produced by Johnny Otis, released on modern records. Radio stations banned it immediately. The phrase, roll with me, was too sexual. Never mind, it was about dancing. A teenage black girl being that confident, that assertive. Unacceptable. Modern records had to change the title to The Wallflower just to get airplay. Even then, most white stations refused to play it. The song still went to number 1 R&B, stayed there for 4 weeks. Etta James, at 14 years old, had created a monster hit. Then Georgia Gibbs struck again. The same white singer who stole from Hank Ballard. She covered Etta's song, called it Dance With Me Henry, removed every ounce of sexuality, made it safe and boring. Georgia Gibbs's version went to number 1 pop. Massive sales, national television appearances. She became wealthy off a watered-down copy of a 14-year-old black girl's song. Etta James got nothing. No crossover success, no pop chart recognition, no mainstream fame. Just the knowledge that white America preferred a bland imitation to her original brilliance. Years later, Etta James even re-recorded her own song with Georgia Gibbs's sanitized lyrics. If you can't beat them, join them. The industry had beaten her down that much. Etta James went on to become a legend. 4. Ruth Brown. Mama, he treats your daughter mean. 1953. Portsmouth, Virginia. Ruth Brown was Atlantic Records' biggest star in the early 50s. They called Atlantic the house that Ruth built. Because her sales literally saved the company from bankruptcy. Mama, he treats your daughter mean hit number 1 R&B in 1953. Her voice was so powerful that even racist radio stations couldn't completely ignore it. But they tried. Southern stations banned it. A black woman complaining about mistreatment. Singing about a man treating her badly. That was too threatening. Too honest about the reality of black women's lives. Ruth Brown had 20 R&B hits in the 1950s. Every single one made Atlantic Records wealthy. She got poverty wages, literally saved the company from bankruptcy. They paid her next to nothing.
Man is lazy. Almost drives me crazy.
While white executives got rich, Ruth Brown slept in her car because hotels wouldn't rent to black performers. She performed on segregated tours, couldn't eat in restaurants, couldn't use white bathrooms, had to enter venues through back doors, made hit after hit after hit while being treated like a second-class citizen. By the 1960s, Atlantic Records dropped her, moved on to more profitable acts.
Mama, you teach your
3. Big Mama Thornton, Hound Dog, 1952. Los Angeles, California, August 1952. Willie Mae. Big Mama. Thornton walked into a studio and cut Hound Dog. Lieber and Stoller wrote it specifically for her, a woman cursing out a no-good man. Fierce, powerful, unapologetic, everything 1950s women weren't supposed to be. The song went to number 1 R&B. In 1953, stayed on the charts for 14 weeks, sold over 500,000 copies. Big Mama Thornton became a star, but the wrong kind of star for white America. She was 6 feet tall, over 300 pounds, could drink any man under the table and outcuss him too. White America couldn't market that, so they waited. Found a pretty white boy, gave him the song, Elvis Presley, 1956. He recorded Hound Dog, changed the lyrics, made it about a literal dog instead of a terrible man. Performed it on Ed Sullivan from the waist up because his hips were too sexual. Elvis's version sold 10 million copies, became his signature song. Made him a billionaire. Big Mama Thornton got a one-time payment of $500 for her original recording. No royalties, no acknowledgement, nothing. She spent the rest of her life bitter. 2. Little Richard, Tutti Frutti, 1955. Macon, Georgia. September 1955.
And they called it rock and roll.
Little Richard screamed, "A wop, boppa loo, boppa lop, bam boom," into a microphone at Cosimo's recording studio in New Orleans. The song was Tutti Frutti. The original lyrics were so explicit they couldn't be recorded. Songwriter Dorothy Labostri cleaned them up in 15 minutes during a lunch break. Even sanitized, the song terrified white America. Too wild, too sexual, too black. The makeup, the pompadour, the screaming. Everything about Little Richard was a threat to white conservative values. Pat Boone, the cleanest white singer in America, covered it within weeks. His version was genteel, polite, safe. Pat Boone's version charted higher on white radio. Little Richard's became the R&B classic. This pattern would repeat for 2 years straight. Long Tall Sally, Pat Boone covered it. Good Golly Miss Molly, Pat Boone covered it. Every time Little Richard created something revolutionary, Pat Boone made it acceptable for white audiences and collected the biggest checks. Churches called Little Richard's music devil worship. Parents burned his records. Radio stations banned him from playlists. Meanwhile, Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis were building careers on the exact sound Little Richard invented. In 1957, at the peak of his fame, Little Richard quit, became a minister. The pressure, the hate, the constant theft of his artistry broke him. He couldn't watch white America steal his soul anymore. He came back in the 60s, but by then, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones were millionaires playing the style he created. Little Richard died in 2020. Spent 70 years fighting for recognition. White America spent 70 years trying to write him out of rock and roll history. 1. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. Work With Me, Annie, 1954. Detroit, Michigan, 1954. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. Walked into a studio with a song that would revolutionize music and destroy their mainstream careers at the same time. Work With Me, Annie. On the surface, a dance song, but white radio programmers heard sexual innuendo, a threat to American youth. The Federal Communications Commission banned it immediately. Churches organized record-burning parties. One Memphis radio station destroyed copies live on air. The song was labeled pornographic, obscene, a danger to white teenagers, but black radio stations played it anyway. The song rocketed to #1 R&B. Stayed there for 7 weeks. Sold over 1 million copies on the underground circuit. Black America couldn't get enough. Then came the theft. Georgia Gibbs. To your white pop singer, recorded Dance With Me Henry, same melody, sanitized lyrics, every sexual reference removed. Her version hit #1 pop, sold millions, made her wealthy. Hank Ballard watched from the sidelines, his original version banned. Georgia Gibbs collecting royalties on a gutted version of his masterpiece. The Midnighters followed with Annie Had a Baby and Annie's Aunt Fanny. Both banned, both R&B hits, both covered by white artists who made the real money. Ballard finally got mainstream recognition in 1960 with The Twist, but even that was stolen. Chubby Checker's cover version outsold him 20-1. 12 artists, 12 revolutionary songs, 12 careers destroyed by racism and greed. They created rock and roll. White America banned them, censored them, stole from them, then gave white artists the credit and the money. Some fought back, some gave up. All of them deserved better than what 1950s America gave them. Their music survived, their stories were buried. Until now. Which artist's story shocked you most? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more untold music history.
Sweetheart.